Hello friends, it's your old pal Fallout here. Pull up a chair and let's get comfy together by this fake digital fire. We have so much to talk about, mostly about Destiny weapon perks, primarily Quickdraw and Slideshot, not to mention my continued hatred of RNG and all things shotgun. So just to give a little background, most of what I'm going to talk about is in direct reference to a video I put on my channel earlier this week, the MINDBENDE'S Ambition God Roll, which was highly requested by you fine people. If you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it before this video, just so you know where I'm coming from. But anyway, I posted, and as always, minor chaos ensued. But after a good night's sleep, some time meditating alone, and satisfactory amounts of scotch, I've become centered and focused enough to give you more info on these two particular weapon perks, as well as some additional thoughts on my MINDBENDE'S God Roll video. And on that note, let's dive into Quickdraw. I've been occasionally racking my brain for quite a while now, trying to think of where the origin of the following phrase came from. Quickdraw maxes out weapon handling. Not helps, not improves drastically, maxes out MAX your weapon handling. As in, couldn't be any higher. One of these screenshots is from the comments on my MINDBENDER video, and the other just a random Google search. Eventually, I was directed to a post by my friends at the Massive Breakdown podcast, which included the phrase, quote, Quickdraw maxes out the handling stat of a weapon, end quote, and then goes on to discuss both ready and stow time. To review, let's touch on the three things that handling affects in the world of Destiny. 1. Weapon ready speed, i.e. whipping out your gun from your back pocket. 2. Weapon stow speed, aka how fast you put away weapon A before whipping out weapon B. And finally 3. ADS speed, aka how fast you aim down the sights of your gun. Those three things are all under the umbrella of handling. In the Reddit post discussing max handling, weapon ready speed and stow time are both mentioned, not ADS speed. Fast forward to my MINDBENDER God Roll video, where at one point I talked about having both Snapshot and Quickdraw on my gun at the same time as a fine viable option, to which some people replied, why bother bro, as Quickdraw maxes out handling. So, because I'm a dirty weapon hoarder, I dug into the old weapon vault and yoinked out a few gems. Here, we have two MINDBENDE'S. One of them has both Snapshot and Quickdraw together, and the other has just Quickdraw. Actually, if you want to get technical, the one with just Quickdraw has one more handling as well, but in theory, that shouldn't matter, right? Because if Quickdraw truly maxed out handling in every conceivable way, then both of these weapons would have the exact same ADS speed, since ADSing is affected by handling. And here's how that went. In a side-by-side comparison, the Quickdraw Snapshot MINDBENDER is fully ADS'd, while the Quickdraw only MINDBENDER is still in the process of ADSing. Alright, am I getting a little too snarky here? Yeah, probably. But what I'm trying to get across is that Quickdraw's max handling improvement was originally being referenced to weapon ready speed and stow time, not ADS speed. Now, if you're seeing this comparison on screen and thinking to yourself, well, Fallout, clearly Quickdraw alone doesn't max out your ADS speed, but would it be fair to wonder that if for the MINDBENDER, Snapshot and Quickdraw together might perhaps be a little bit of overkill, and you could instead get additional utility out of Quickdraw and Slideshot? Yes, it would be fair to wonder that. That is a reasonable and well thought out thing to wonder. And the answer is yes, it might very well be overkill, but there are also going to be situations where these missing frames right here between the image on the left and the image on the right could mean the difference between you living and dying in a game of PvP. Huh, no way, dude, it's just a handful of frames. 8 to be exact, I counted. But go ask any tournament level fighting game player if 8 frames matters or not. Is Destiny the same as Street Fighter or maybe Tekken? Of course not, but the same logic still applies. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that 100% of the time Quickdraw and Snapshot on your MINDBENDER is always the best roll for whatever situation you're in. That would be silly, and it's the same reason why now in my god roll videos I've gotten into the habit of recommending multiple god tier perks on each weapon at the end, because there's just so much to consider that trying to boil it all down to just one perfect roll that is king in literally every situation is borderline impossible. But Fallout, in your god roll vid, you ultimately did break it down to one final roll. I know I did, my sweet child, and that's on me. But on the other hand, when I don't and get too broad, I get comments saying that I didn't really do anything worthwhile and didn't clearly define a god roll because I wasn't specific enough with my perk choices. See the predicament? On a side note, moving forward with god roll vids, I'm going to continue having probably multiple god rolls listed for the sake of variety and trying to cover every possible base, even though some of you out there just want it all boiled down to one pure, simple answer. Before continuing to talk about the question, is Quickdraw Snapshot overkill together on the Mindbender, we first need to look at another hot option on the gun, Slideshot. I've got to tell you guys, out of every weapon perk in the game to tinker with, Slideshot ranks high on the list of super goddamned annoying. The mechanics aren't clearly defined by the in-game description, the wording leaves unanswered questions, and to top it all off, there's no on-screen HUD timer to possibly indicate either a duration timer or even if it's been activated or not. But I found a good way to test it, and I have to admit, some understandings of mine about Slideshot I found were wrong. First of all, and this one is major, after speaking with some other streamers, I was under the impression that Slideshot only activates when you have additional ammo in your reserves, meaning if you slide and you auto-reload your weapon with ammo from reserves, all the effects of Slideshot proc, and if you slide but you don't have any ammo from reserves and your weapon does not auto-reload, then all the effects of Slideshot do not proc. That was my assumption, and it turns out this is not true. By sliding into a completely fixed, unmovable location, aka a corner, we can clearly see here that while my hand cannon normally does about 63 on a headshot to my stationary buddy, sliding into said corner temporarily ups the range on my hand cannon to the point where I briefly get a 66 damage headshot before the damage numbers begin to go back down. The perk doesn't grant a direct damage buff per se. The temporary range boost pushes back the damage drop-off point, which we're already beyond. So in this case, a hair more damage. And again, this happened both when I slid and my hand cannon reloaded itself with ammo from reserves, and on times when I already had a full magazine but slid anyway. Clearly, the effects of Slideshot procced no matter what. Going back to my god roll Mindbender video, as I had for some reason been under the impression that Slideshot only activated when you had ammo to pull in from reserves. Naturally, I thought this would activate way less with shotguns. But now I know that whenever you slide, reload or not, the perk still activates, and even though I'd already tagged it as a high tier Mindbender perk, this puts its viability even higher. But we ain't done yet. How long does Slideshot stay active though, Fallout? Great question, guy. No friggin' timer on the damn HUD, which really would be appreciated, by the way, Bungie. But by matching up two separate clips of me activating Slideshot, once when my gun auto-reloaded via the slide, and another time when I already had max ammo, then matching up the exact same moment I initiated the slide on both, it's a little easier to figure things out. From the exact frame that your bullet enters the gun from reserves, well, I have to imagine that's when the perk officially activates. Measuring from that time until the point when my hand cannon stopped doing extra damage, that's gotta be the duration of the whole perk, which I've clocked at exactly 2 seconds, dead on balls accurate. Since the perk begins when you're mid-slide though, you really only have about a second and a half max to take advantage of the effects. Not a lot of time for a primary weapon, but really handy for a one and done type weapon, for example, a shotgun. Measuring Slideshot effectiveness with a shotgun in a private match, by the way, very hard to determine, since any really awesome shot could just be chalked up to the wonderful pile of bullshit that is RNG. Not to mention that we've discussed that the window of time is 2 damn seconds, and in that time you have to slide into the exact right place, finish your slide animation, turn around, stand up, ADS, and not just aim at your buddy, but make sure you're aiming in the exact same spot as you were when you tested the same gun earlier without Slideshot active. Hard to do. But you spend enough time on anything and you make it work. Write that down, kids. And turns out, more times than not, a really deep shot with Slideshot was shown to be a hair more effective at damaging an enemy when outside of your max range damage drop-off point. Remember, you're getting a smidge more range, not extra damage, so it'll matter more at certain distances from your target, but less so the closer you two get to each other. But again, let's be fair, this could mean the difference between getting a kill and you getting killed. Probably not terribly often, but it could mean the difference. But as we mentioned before, Snapshot could also potentially mean the difference between getting the kill shot and you getting killed. Not every time. I'm gonna say something that I will probably now continuously say in future God Roll videos. Sometimes the more desirable perks depend on, say, the play style. Example, let's say you're a super jumpy hunter, love to jump as most hunters annoyingly do, and you don't slide all that often. Maybe you've noticed that when you approach the enemy as a roly-poly boy, it's in the air with Icarus grip. Well then, you, sir, might get more viability out of Snapshot even when stacked on top of Quickdraw. Or, on the other hand, let's say you're a warlock that doesn't play Top Tree Dawnblade and you spend a lot of time on the ground, then maybe Slideshot is way more appealing to you. The slightly quicker ADS speed don't make no difference to you. You would rather have both the reload viability and the brief range boost. Makes sense to me. And there we go. Don't really know how to end this one. Keep grinding. I hope you get whatever weapon you're chasing, and I hope you clap cheeks with it in PvP. Thank you very much for watching. Do me a favor and click all of the things, and I'll see you next time.